And away we go, episode 1266 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. It is the day after the United States of America won a gold medal in men's hockey in an Olympics for the first time since the Miracle on Ice in 1980. A 2-1 overtime win over Canada in Italy on Sunday morning in the gold medal game. The game-winning goal, the golden goal, was scored 1:41 into overtime by New Jersey Devils center Jack Hughes. Yes, the same New Jersey Devils for which Washington Commanders managing partner Josh Harris is co-managing partner. First Olympics with NHL players since 2014, and the result was a gold medal for the U.S. So here was the call of the goal. Kenny Albert, NBC Sports.
Up behind the net, and it's Werenski. Now Jack Hughes puts it around McCarr. United States with numbers. Back across it comes. Jack Hughes wins it. The golden goal for the United States. For the first time since the 1980 Miracle, the United States takes the gold. Jack Hughes beating Jordan Bennington.
Yeah, St. Louis Blues goaltender Jordan Binnington was the goaltender for Canada, and not our guy, Washington Capitals goaltender Logan Thompson. Canada had Thompson as Binnington's backup. Also on Canada was Caps winger Tom Wilson. But what a moment for the U.S., which set a record for most gold medals for the U.S. in a Winter Olympics with 12. The previous record, 10, was set in 2002. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. It is day one of the 2026 NFL Scouting Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. The Combine is happening from Monday, February 23rd through Monday, March 2nd. The Combine is a big event in the NFL offseason, as the Combine isn't just where NFL draft season gets ramped up. The Combine also is where the offseason as a whole gets ramped up. The Combine, in a lot of ways, is an NFL convention. It includes press conferences for heads of football operations and head coaches, and on Tuesday afternoon, we'll have press conferences for both Washington Commanders general manager Adam Peters and Washington Commanders head coach Dan Quinn. Peters Tuesday at noon, Quinn Tuesday afternoon at 3. 2 months from today is the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft, which will take place April 23rd through the 25th in Pittsburgh. What should/will the Commanders do with their number 7 overall pick in the draft? Next segment, the first of 2 conversations in the coming days with Ohio State football insider Doug Lesmerises of Bill and Doug on Ohio State football on Substack. Doug also is the co-host of the Bill and Doug Show podcast. Doug has covered Ohio State football since 2005, and he's going to tell us all about 5 highly touted Ohio State prospects in this draft. We, on this installment of the podcast, are going to focus on the 4 highly touted Ohio State defensive prospects in this draft, including 3 guys each being mocked to the Commanders at 7. Are you following your mock drafts? They're including 3 Ohio State defensive players being taken by the Commanders at 7. Safety Caleb Downs, linebacker Arvell Reese, and linebacker Sonny Styles. These guys are viewed as 3 of the best players in the draft. Doug, next segment, will give us high-level insight on and analysis of each guy and another well-regarded Ohio State player in interior defensive lineman Caden McDonald. NFL draft season is heating up as Combine Week is underway. Doug Lesmerises, next segment on potential defensive targets out of Ohio State for the Commanders with their number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Wizards, Baltimore Orioles, and college basketball. Our rebuilding and tanking Wizards, they over the weekend went 1-1. Friday night, a 131-118 win over the Indiana Pacers at Capital One Arena. But Sunday evening, a 129-112 loss to the Charlotte Hornets at Capital One Arena. The Wizards, in a third quarter that they lost 44-28, allowed the Hornets to go 12 for 14 on threes. The 12 made threes by the Hornets tied the NBA record for for most made threes by a team in a quarter in a regular season game. That, my friends, is how you tank. Regarding the O's, we'll react to more bad injury news as President of Baseball Operations and General Manager Mike Elias on Friday morning announced that third baseman / second baseman Jordan Westburg has a partial UCL tear in his right elbow and will be out at least through the end of April. And during our college basketball segment, we'll discuss a weekend that included wins for Maryland, number 14 Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Navy, losses for Georgetown and VCU, and also a college basketball game at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. on Saturday evening, branded as the Edward Jones Capital Showcase in a game that showcased two teams that are not part of the Washington, D.C. area or Mid-Atlantic region. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Feedback on the 5-year anniversary of this podcast, as Sunday was February 22nd, 2026, 5 years to the day of the first true episode of this podcast, episode 2 on February 22nd, 2021 from Jackson City Social Club on X, writes Jackson City Social Club. Congratulations on 5 excellent years. I've been listening to you pretty much every day over those entire 5 years. You are the king of no-nonsense breakdowns of the DC teams. Let's go for 10. Thank you very much for that, Jackson City Social Club. We can try for 10 years. I can't promise anything, but we can try for 10 years. From John Guccione on X, writes John, 5 years, time flies. Congratulations, and thank you for all you do for fans like me. Well, thank you very much, John, who in his profile on X says that he is, quote, a diehard fan of the Washington Redskins / Commanders, New York Rangers, New York Mets, and Metallica, end quote. That's an interesting combination of fandom, right? The Washington Commanders, the New York Rangers, and the New York Mets. But I appreciate the support, John. And of course, Metallica is outstanding. By the way, have you seen the meme of a stack of 7 legendary rock cassettes that all came out within a 44-day period? This is something. From August 12th, 1991 through September 24th, 1991, the following all-time great rock cassettes came out. Metallica's self-titled cassette, what's often called the Metallica Black Album, Pearl Jam's 10, Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion 1, Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion 2, Nirvana's Nevermind, the Red Hot Chili Peppers' Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and Soundgarden's Bad Motor Finger. How about that? All 7 of those bangers came out within the 44-day period of August 12th, 1991 through September 24th, 1991. In the history of music, has there ever been a better 44-day period than that 44-day period? Email from Michael King, writes Mike, congrats on 5 years, Al, but really congratulations to all of us out here for the best show in town, Nats Chat 2, of course. Thank you for the email, Mike. Very nice of you. Email from Mark E. Bennett, writes Mark, hey, Al, happy anniversary. No surprise. You're excellent at what you do, period. Long time since I've written, but I'm always rooting for you. Yet, I will say, as I always have been a big fan since the team, still I miss Live Galdi. The caller's craziness and your quick wit and banter were just great. Maybe you could incorporate live callers, LOL, but maybe. Nevertheless, congrats, and I wish you many more episodes to come from a thankful listener, Mark. Thank you very much for the email, Mark. I do miss taking live calls, but live calls can be very hit and miss, and a lot of the good of live calls is mitigated by the great emails and great messages on X that I incorporate into this podcast. And, some of the emails and messages come from people who used to call into my radio shows. People like Dr. Sabah and Disco and the incomparable CJ. The Nace Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, it has been around for a lot longer than 5 years. It has been a Washington, D.C. institution for decades. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the Nace Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. Founded in 1979, the Nace Law Group offers fierce advocacy on behalf of medical malpractice, birth injury, and personal injury victims. Led by the great Chris Nace, the Nace Law Group is focused on providing exceptional care and counsel for those who need such things the most. The Nace Law Group fights for what it believes in, you, your family, and your future. You with the Nace Law Group have an experienced advocate on your side. The Nace Law Group has secured millions of dollars in verdict and settlement amounts for clients to better enable them to care for themselves and their families. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. Hey, thank you to all of you who have given this podcast a 5-star rating and who have written nice reviews of the podcast. You on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify can both rate the podcast and write reviews. 5-star ratings are very much appreciated. Positive reviews are very much appreciated. The Washington Commanders franchise over the years has had many players who played collegiately at Ohio State. Left tackle Jim Lachey, cornerback Sean Springs, receiver Terrell Pryor, receiver Terry McLaurin, quarterback Dwayne Haskins, edge defender Chase Young, receiver Curtis Samuel, receiver Noah Brown, cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, and there are plenty more. And could another be coming via what the Commanders do with their number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft? The Pro Football Focus Big Board for the 2026 NFL Draft has Ohio State players constituting 4 of the top 8 and 5 of the top 21 players in the draft. Number 3, linebacker Arvell Reese. Number 5, safety Caleb Downs. Number 7, receiver Carnell Tate. Number 8, linebacker Sonny Styles. And number 21, interior defensive lineman Caden McDonald. ESPN NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr., his big board for the 2026 NFL Draft has Ohio State players constituting 4 of the top 7 and 5 of the top 17 players in the draft. Number 3, linebacker Arvell Reese. Number 5, receiver Carnell Tate. Number 6, safety Caleb Downs. Number 7, linebacker Sonny Styles. Number 17, interior defensive lineman Caden McDonald. Should/will the Commanders take one of these guys with the team's number 7 overall pick? Could/should/will the Commanders trade down and still get one of these guys? For more on these players, I'm pleased to welcome back to the Al Galdi podcast Ohio State football insider Doug Lesmerises of Bill and Doug on Ohio State football on Substack. Doug also is the co-host of the Bill and Doug Show podcast, which has more than 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. Doug has covered Ohio State football since 2005. You could follow Doug on X at Doug Lesmerises, which is spelled Lesmerises. And Doug is joining us for the first of 2 conversations to discuss these players. In our next conversation with Doug, we'll do a deep dive on Carnell Tate. Wait until you hear about him. But we, in this conversation with Doug, examine these 4 highly touted defensive prospects out of Ohio State. Hey, Doug, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, good to talk to you. This is looking like such an impressive class of Ohio State players in the 2026 NFL Draft. The Ohio State player in this draft who will have the best NFL career is who?
It's hard to get away from Caleb Downs for almost all these type of questions. He is a rare combination, I think, of athleticism and intelligence we've had since he got here. So as people know, Caleb Downs just played his freshman year at Alabama. Ohio State was really heavy in his recruitment. He picked Alabama. Nick Saban retires. He goes in the transfer portal. He winds up at Ohio State for 2 years. He's a first-team All-American at safety both years. And we've talked about him as a coach on the field since he got here. Like, he's that level of just, he understands the game so well. His brother's in the NFL. And then he can cover. He'll come up and hit you. He's really physical. And I just think he's like a 10-year-old pro kind of guy, leader of the defense, leader in the locker room, incredible playmaker, but also just like rock solid, doesn't really make mistakes.
So many mock 2026 NFL drafts have had the Commanders taking Caleb Downs with their number 7 overall pick. The praise for this guy has been off the charts. Wrote Mel Kiper about Downs for Kiper's Big Board that came out on February 10th. Quote, Downs, the brother of NFL wide receiver Josh Downs and the son of former NFL running back Gary Downs, is basically an extension of the defensive coordinator. His football knowledge shows in his play. It's obvious when you watched him in the Ohio State defense, but what really impressed me is how well he picked up Nick Saban's system as a 2023 freshman at Alabama before transferring. He diagnoses quickly thanks to excellent pre-snap instincts, and that allows him to play faster than his straight-line speed might suggest. Plus, Downs is solid in coverage, and he is a very reliable open-field tackler, end quote. Is Caleb Downs the best safety who you've covered in your time covering Ohio State football?
So it's one of those 2016 Malik Hooker, who I think went like 15th in the draft to the Colts, was a guy I can remember people talking then that they had not seen like a college safety. Greg Schiano was on the staff then and said like Malik Hooker reminded him of Sean Taylor, right? And the impact that you make at safety. Malik Hooker was like a sideline to sideline center field. You couldn't throw deep on him because he could cover all 53 yards. Caleb Downs is the better safety, is the better overall player. We've talked about this, like in the annals of Ohio State. Jack Tatum is a name at safety that comes up, like you were talking 1968, 69, 70. Like that's the comparison with Caleb Downs. So I think we're like, is Caleb Downs one of the 10 best players in Ohio State history? Is he the best safety ever at Ohio State? The guy that I wind up comparing him to a lot is CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, number 2 pick in the draft with the Texans at quarterback a couple years ago. Like his intelligence, I think, separated him. Great touch, great accuracy, all those things, but just brain like a computer. And I've always thought that Caleb Downs is like that on the defensive side of the ball. He thinks like a quarterback, right? He understands the game like a quarterback. So yeah, like it is at Ohio State, you see a lot of great players. This guy is rare. He's rare.
Would the best deployment of Caleb Downs in the NFL be as a strong safety or free safety?
I think got to be in the box. I think a strong safety because I think you need him near the line of scrimmage because he can tackle. He's good against the run game. He can cover guys in the slot, but I think he's a little wasted as a free safety, a little wasted as a center fielder because he is physical enough to handle himself down there. And in 2024, when Ohio State won the national championship, sort of the breakthrough for that defense was the defensive coordinator in the last third of the year kind of figured out that he really needed Caleb Downs near the line of scrimmage more. We talked about it was almost like 4 levels of the defense. You had your defensive line, you had your linebackers, and then in between your linebackers and your secondary, you had Caleb Downs, right? He's not linebacker size, but he's linebacker capable. So I think he's got to be a strong safety because you want him around the ball. Like Ohio State, in 2024, when they won the national championship, they had this semifinal win over Texas that was wrapped up by Jack Sawyer having a strip sack on Quinn Ewers to sort of put the game away. But like 2 plays before that, Caleb Downs had a play where Texas tried to run wide, and they actually had it blocked up pretty well. And Caleb Downs split 2 blockers and made a play on the running back in the backfield that I don't know if there's another player in college football who would have made that play as a safety in the run game, being that aggressive, being that instinctive, and then making a tackle like that. And without that play, it sets up the play that changes Ohio State's season. So gotta be involved in the run game near the line of scrimmage.
Are there any notable concerns with Caleb Downs?
I like if he gets locked up in coverage, like is he going to run step for step with a guy like quite as much? I don't know, but I like really know. Like I don't think there is a weakness. The comparison, and I don't, I know Ohio State. I'm not going to pretend I know everybody, but the impact I think that you've seen Kyle Hamilton make with the Ravens at safety, and that Hamilton probably in that draft out of Notre Dame maybe fell a little bit, probably went a little later than he should have gone, probably should have been a top 10 pick. And I think people saw that, but it's like, yes, he's a safety, but they're so impactful. It's safety plus. And so I think that's almost like, and again, Kyle Hamilton's, he's an all pro, right? But like, I think that's like, the floor for Caleb Downs. I think he's at least Kyle Hamilton, and I think potentially more.
Much more with Doug Lesmerises in moments, but here is an outstanding book for you if you're a Washington fan or for a Washington fan who you care about. RFK All Access by Scott Cunningham, who served as a photographer for NFL properties for years and who photographed the Redskins extensively during their glory days in the 1980s and early 1990s. Scott, via RFK All Access, has put together a compilation of his best Redskins photos, many of which are behind-the-scenes photos. Joe Gibbs, Jack Kent Cooke, Richie Pettibone, the Hogs, the Posse, Sonny, Sam, and Frank, all and so many more are featured in this book, which is 392 pages of glorious Skins history, 5 pounds of Redskins gold. If you are a serious Washington fan, if you are a Skins historian, this book is a must-have. Makes for a terrific addition to any Skins-themed man cave. Also makes for a great gift. I have the book. It is sensational. Heck, this is a book that has been endorsed by Joe Gibbs himself. Quote, "This is a great book filled with great memories," end quote. The book now is available in ebook form, and the book now is available for an all-time low price. Take advantage of this special sale in honor of Washington's offseason. RFK All Access. You can get the book by visiting rfkallaccess.com. And when you order the book, mention in the notes section that Al Galdi sent you. Doing that helps out this podcast a lot. That's rfkallaccess.com, rfkallaccess.com, and mention that Al Galdi sent you. We're getting great insight on potential defensive targets out of Ohio State for the Washington Commanders with their number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft as we speak with Ohio State football insider Doug Lesmerises of Bill and Doug on Ohio State football on Substack. Doug also is the co-host of the Bill and Doug Show podcast. The 2-stud Ohio State linebackers in the 2026 NFL Draft, Arvell, Reese, and Sonny Styles. Who's better?
Yeah, it would have been slam dunk Arvell Reese for much of the season. But my co-host, who's a little bit more ball oriented than I am, like over the second half of the year, we really started having conversations like, is Sonny Styles actually better than Arvell Reese? So Sonny Styles is more your classic linebacker, right? And Arvell Reese is going to be that hybrid off-ball linebacker, also edge rusher, get after the quarterback kind of guy. Ohio State, we felt like in the second half of the season, did not use him as effectively as a pass rusher. They used him as Arvell Reese as a spy a lot and had him sort of float. They would have him, but they didn't. We thought they should have used him more because he did rush the passer more in the first half of the year. If you look at his stats, his hurries, his like pass rush numbers, his production went down in the second half of the year, but it's because of the way they used him. But Arvell is more like that. It's a little, I mean, it's the model that everybody says Micah Parsons now, right? Like if you're like an edge rusher who maybe also played some linebacker in college, that's a little more like Arvell Reese. Sonny Styles is your classic, like put him in the middle of the defense. He did not miss a tackle until the playoff game against Miami. So the first 13 games of the year by PFF, he had no missed tackles. Like rock solid, super intelligent. Ohio State has a leadership award. They call it the Block O. They pick the guy who's like their best leader to wear the number 0 in a year. Sonny Styles was that this year, and he's a guy, he was an early enrolled guy, which happens a lot now. So he's coming out after 4 years, but really he should only be 3 years out of high school. He played safety when he got to Ohio State. So his first year was kind of lost because he was just a true freshman. His second year, he's a starting safety. His third year, they move him to linebacker, but he's kind of learning linebacker. And so this was his first year where he was completely comfortable in the position that he was playing, the position he should be playing. And then he was arguably one of the 2 or 3 best linebackers in the country. So like there's still he's young, but there's a great ceiling on Sonny Styles. He can rush the passer a little bit too. So, but it's not what he does best. Arvell Reese can be an explosive edge rusher in addition to the other things he does as a very solid linebacker. So it's a little bit of what you want, right? Like, what do you value more in the NFL? Is Arvell going to go higher? Probably because of the pass rush ability. Yes. Are you sure that means that Arvell Reese is going to be a better player than Sonny Styles in the NFL? I'm not sure, because I think they're both absolute long-term, high-level NFL starters.
Washington for years has struggled in terms of linebackers and pass coverage. Sonny Styles is better than Arvell Reese in pass coverage. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say so. It's Arvell's very athletic and very comfortable. They're both big. They're both fast. They're both smart. A lot of the stuff. Matt Patricia was Ohio State's defensive coordinator this year. First time in college. After all his experience in the NFL, he gave those guys a lot of freedom. They worked in tandem. They'd come up to the line of scrimmage. They'd decide, okay, you're going to rush. I'm going to drop. You're going to spy. There's a lot of intelligence within that. They both can do both. But Sonny with that safety experience, right? Like Sonny's more linebacker with a safety edge, and Arvell is more linebacker with a defensive end edge, right? So it's that, Sonny's probably a little better in coverage.
Arvell Reese versus Sonny Styles. Is one more physically gifted than the other?
Arvell's probably twitchier, right? That's like, this is, so Sonny was a 3-year starter. Arvell Reese, only 3 years in college. Didn't do much as a freshman, was sort of like the third linebacker in goal line packages, and then started for 1 year. But he was like a guy that was always like, he's always coming. He's always coming. They did have a decision to make. At one point, we thought maybe they were going to move him full time to edge rusher, and then the linebackers coach at Ohio State now is James Laurinaitis, the former NFL player, and he sort of wanted to make sure they kept him in the linebacker room. But he does have that twitch, and he does have real, like, just that rare combination where he's big, he's broad-shouldered, but he is very good off the line, right? And like, he's jab stepping guys with his pass rush moves and that kind of thing. So I do think Arvell is probably a little bit slightly ahead in the athleticism area.
Interior defensive lineman Caden McDonald. I know that he's not as highly regarded as Carnell Tate, Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, and Sonny Styles, but McDonald is coming off a really impressive breakout season. He, for the 2025 season, was a unanimous All-American with first-team honors by the Associated Press, the Sporting News, American Football Coaches Association, Football Writers Association of America, and Walter Camp, and he was the 2025 Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year, and all of this happened off him not having had a single start over his first two collegiate seasons, 2023 and 2024. What do you think about McDonald?
Yeah, like another 3 years and out, was not the world's highest ranked recruit when he came in. 1 year starter, but very impactful, like pass rush ability at defensive tackle, disruptive, like big and physical, but also quick, can certainly play the run, like rock solid, grounded dude. Would not have seen this coming necessarily. Ohio State lost all 4 of their starting defensive linemen off their 2024 national championship team. That included Tyleik Williams, who was a high draft pick at defensive tackle, so they had to reset on the defensive line, and Caden McDonald was their best guy. Caden McDonald was their best defensive lineman this year, and at times maybe didn't have like a ton of help there inside, so I think is deserved of being a first round pick and can play the run and the pass. And, as you sort of mentioned, kind of when that's your top 4, as we mentioned before, that's a high level top 4, a cut below that. But I certainly think, am I sure he's going to go in the first round? I could see like maybe in the end, he's a little short. I think he's maybe not, doesn't have all the measurables necessarily that you want. But whether it's like sort of late first round in the 20s or maybe early second round, I think he's worth it.
Man, so much to like about all of these guys. Ohio State football insider Doug Lesmerises of Bill and Doug on Ohio State Football on Substack. Doug also is the co-host of the Bill and Doug Show podcast. Doug, thanks, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. One of the best NFL draft analysts is Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network. He in a mock 2026 NFL draft that came out on NFL.com on February 17th had the Commanders taking Arvell Reese at 7. Quote, Reese provides Washington some explosiveness and versatility. He might be a tougher projection than some of the other pass rushers in this year's draft, given that he split time between edge rusher and off-ball linebacker for the Buckeyes. So Reese has the highest upside of the group, though, end quote. But The mocks have been all over the place with what the Commanders will do at 7. CBS Sports NFL writer Garrett Podell, he had a mock 2026 NFL draft that came out on CBSSports.com on February 17th, had the Commanders taking Sonny Styles at 7. Quote, Styles is the perfect modern inside linebacker. He played his first 2 seasons at Ohio State as a safety before transitioning to linebacker, so he comes ready to roll in pass coverage. Styles is able to remain in range of slot receivers in the seam, and he can go step for step with tight ends from sideline to sideline. His wingspan allows him to have nice range as a tackler in the run and pass games. Styles blitzes with a jetpack attached to his back, easily steamrolling running backs attempting to pick him up in pass protection. Styles is a slam dunk replacement for an aging Bobby Wagner who is headed for free agency, end quote. As mentioned, plenty of mocks have had the Commanders taking Caleb Downs at 7, and we now are seeing some momentum for the Commanders taking Carnell Tate at 7. More on him in our next conversation with Doug Lesmerises.
Big thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp, for partnering with us for this important conversation about mental health.
This is Steve Smith here, former NFL wide receiver and host of the 89 show on YouTube. So having a counselor and working with BetterHelp, that gives you an opportunity to really start to unpack. But people don't understand, when you unpack things, you also open up a box that you're not always sure what's inside. So I think that's why seeing a professional is extremely important. If you need someone to open up to, visit BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/89 to get started.
A much-needed loss for our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards on Sunday evening, so they won both of their home games over back-to-back nights against the Indiana Pacers in a clash of tanking teams. Thursday night, a 112-105 win over the Pacers at Capital One Arena. Friday night, a 131-118 win over the Pacers at Capital One Arena. But Sunday evening, a 129-112 loss to the Charlotte Hornets at Capital One Arena. The Wizards, in a third quarter that they lost 44-28, allowed the Hornets to go 12 for 14 on threes. The 12 made threes by the Hornets tied the NBA record for most made threes by a team in a quarter in a regular season game. That was more like it. That loss was needed. You know the saying in sports that a needed win stops the bleeding? Well, this was a needed loss that restarted the bleeding. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season now are 16-40, fifth worst record in the NBA. That win over the Pacers on Friday night was unfortunate and happened despite the Wizards blatantly tanking. Wizards head coach Brian Keefe in the fourth quarter did not play starter Trey Johnson or reserve Will Riley at all, and played 2 other starters in Bilal Coulibaly and Bub Carrington, each for just 3 minutes, 18 seconds. But the Pacers tanked hard too, and the Wizards overcame a 15-point second quarter deficit. And then the win over the Hornets on Sunday evening, the Wizards trailed for all of the second, third, and fourth quarters. So the Wizards do continue to be without a bunch of key guys. Keyshawn George, he in the loss to the Hornets on Sunday evening, returned from a one-game absence caused by a left big toe sprain, but Justin Champagnie did not play due to a right knee injury, and Tristan Vukcevic did not play due to a right hand contusion. Each guy left the win over the Pacers on Friday night due to injury. Also in the loss to the Hornets on Sunday evening, Alex Sarr did not play for a fourth consecutive game due to a right hamstring strain. Anthony Davis did not play for a 7th time in 7 games since being acquired by the Wizards via trade on February 5th, what was 2026 NBA trade deadline day. He's not playing due to a finger sprain on his left hand. D'Angelo Russell did not play for a 7th time in 7 games since being acquired by the Wizards via the Anthony Davis trade. Russell is being listed as not being with the team. He may never play for the Wizards. Trae Young did not play for a 20th time in 20 games since being acquired by the Wizards via trade on January 9th. He's not playing due to a right knee sprain and a right quadriceps contusion. And Cam Whitmore is done for the season due to right shoulder deep vein thrombosis. So we in the loss to the Hornets on Sunday evening did get a good offensive performance from Bilal Coulibaly. His offense needs a lot of work, but he was the Wizards' leading scorer. He in just 17-10 as a starter had 17 points, 2 blocks, 2 assists versus no turnovers and 2 rebounds rebounds. He went 3 for 4 on threes, 3 for 5 on twos, and just 2 for 4 on free throws. He scored 15 of his 17 points in the first quarter. Also with the Wizards over the weekend, they on Saturday evening announced having re-signed Tristan Vukcevic to a multi-year contract, which is a reported 3-year, $9 million deal. That is a nothing contract in today's NBA. Vukcevic has talent, needs to show a lot more in terms of performance, but that contract is for minimal money. Next up for the Wizards are 2 games at the Atlanta Hawks. Wizards at the Hawks Tuesday night at 7:30, and Wizards at the Hawks Thursday night at 7:30. MLB's 2026 exhibition season started over Friday and Saturday, including the Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles playing in the Grapefruit League, which is based on teams that conduct their spring training camps in Florida, as the Nats and O's do. The Nats in West Palm Beach, Florida, the O's in Sarasota, Florida. And we at Orioles spring training on Friday morning had some very bad news. Orioles president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Elias, he during a session with reporters on Friday morning announced that Orioles third baseman / second baseman Jordan Westburg has a partial UCL tear in his right elbow, was receiving a platelet-rich plasma, PRP injection on Friday, and will be out at least through the end of April. Westburg already had been missing time during 2026 Orioles spring training due to a tweaked right oblique, and now he's out for multiple months due to a partial UCL tear in his right elbow. And this news is bad in several ways. First of all, this now makes for 2 significant injuries for the O's just a few weeks into spring training, as the O's on February 12th announced that second baseman Jackson Holliday on that day had undergone surgery to address a fractured hamate bone in his right wrist. He's expected to miss at least the first few weeks of the regular season. So first Holliday and now Westburg, 2 key infielders for the O's. The O's, who have been hit hard by injury in each of the last 2 seasons already, or dealing with 2 notable injuries. Not a good sign for the O's off their disappointing 2025 season. The O's in the 2025 regular season went in American League East worst 75-87 with a run differential of minus 111, which was the second worst run differential in the American League. But there's also this: Jordan Westburg cannot stay healthy. The O's took Westburg with the number 30 overall pick in the 2020 MLB first-year player draft at Mississippi State. Westburg, over his first 3 MLB regular seasons, 2023 through 2025, has been a good player, a 116 OPS plus, an average of 3.3 wins above replacement per Baseball Reference per 162 games. But he, over the last 2 regular seasons, has played in just 192 of a possible 324 games. Westburg was on the 10-day injured list from August 1st, 2024 to September 22nd, 2024 due to a fractured right hand. Westburg was on the 10-day injured list from April 28th, 2025, retroactive to April 27th, 2025 to June 10th, 2025 due to a left hamstring strain. Westburg last June and July missed 5 consecutive games due to a sprained left index finger. Westburg was on the 10-day injured list from August 22nd, 2025, retroactive to August 19th, 2025 to September 16th, 2025 due to a sprained right ankle. And now Westburg is dealing with this partial UCL tear in his right elbow while he already was dealing with a tweaked right oblique. I feel for the guy. This has got to be frustrating, but he cannot stay healthy. This was Mike Elias on Friday morning.
Jordan Westburg. So Jordan has been rehabbing his oblique injury that he came into camp with, and in the course of doing that has been doing his throwing like normal, and reported some elbow soreness to our training staff several days ago during the throwing. He said that this is elbow soreness that he's had before, but usually it doesn't persist to the degree that he felt like it was. And our exams with him, we were a little bit concerned, so we had imaging ordered a few days ago, and the imaging revealed a partial tear in his ulnar collateral ligament in his right elbow. Aspects of this appeared chronic, so it's something that he's had for a long time, although it's not something that had risen to the level of team care or anything like that. but it apparently pretty flared up right now. So we sent him to Dr. Elatrash in Los Angeles, where Jordan is now, for a second opinion. And Dr. Elatrash agreed with our team's assertion that we should attempt to treat this conservatively. So Jordan's going to receive a PRP injection today in California, and then come back to camp, and we will attempt to rehab the injury with PRP and strengthening and time. So that's going to take, obviously, Jordan out of camp, and he's going to be out of consideration for opening day. In terms of the timeline of this, he's going to be out for February, March, the month of April. After that, it's too soon to get more specific with how much time he's going to miss, but he's going to start the season on the IL.
Something else to be thinking about with Jordan Westburg, too, is so assuming that he is back at some point in the 2026 regular season, will he be good to play the field, or will he be limited to being a DH and pinch hitter? Also, is he going to need UCL surgery at some point? Now, interestingly, Mike Elias did just trade for a utility player. The O's on February 5th announced having traded relief pitcher Cade Stroud, pitching prospect Wellington Aracena, and infield prospect Jose Mejia to the Arizona Diamondbacks for third baseman / second baseman Blaze Alexander. And Alexander now could be especially useful. The 2026 season will be his age 27 season, and he's coming off a nice season. Alexander, in MLB's 2025 regular season, accumulated 1.7 wins above replacement per Baseball Reference over just 74 games for the Diamondbacks. So we on Friday morning had this exchange between Orioles insider Jacob Calvin Meyer of the Baltimore Sun and Mike Elias.
I know you would have hoped that the Blaze Alexander trade wouldn't have been as seemingly necessary as it is in hindsight, given the injuries to Holiday and Westburg, but I guess just how fortunate do you feel it is that you traded for him when you did, and how important do you think he is to this team now?
Yeah, that being highlighted has come way too quick. Neither of these injuries were in place when the trade happened, believe it or not, and we just knew that we would need more quality infield depth than just having our four main guys. You need more than that. So we made the trade for Blaze, and he's going to be obviously a big presence now. He was going to be anyway, but he'll be front and center in this camp as one of our frontline infielders. But we're also going to continue to see him in the outfield. You'll see him play in the outfield for this camp because that's a part of who he's going to be on the team long term as well.
All right, and another Orioles player who now becomes more important is third baseman / first baseman Kobe Mayo. The O's took Mayo in the fourth round of the 2020 MLB first-year player draft out of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School was the site of a horrendous mass shooting in February 2018. Mayo at the time was a sophomore at the school. He worked his way into being a very well-regarded prospect for the O's, but he at the major league level has not gotten a lot of playing time, and he has not done much with that playing time. Is it now Kobe Mayo time, and can his defense at third base, a premium defensive position, be trusted? We on Friday morning had this exchange between Orioles insider Rich Dubroff of BaltimoreBaseball.com and Mike Elias, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Jacob Calvin Meyer and Elias.
Now, is Mayo now going to be strictly a third baseman until Westburg gets back?
I don't know about strictly, but we're going to see him a lot at third base. I mean, number one, it's something that he's always done, and we've been developing, and he's played there for much of his life. Number two, we've got a new coaching staff that wants to see him and work with him over there and evaluate him there. Number three, we just signed Pete Alonso, and that puts a pretty big presence at first base. And then, number four, both Holiday and Westburg are going to be out for this camp, so there's a lot of runway for anyone over at third to play there. So I do think we're going to see Kobe a lot at third base. What that means for the season or long term, I don't know yet, but we'll be watching him there a lot this spring.
What is your confidence level in Kobe's defense and maybe how it's progressed over the past few years?
It's good. He's moving good. I mean, he's a great defender for his size and his body type, and he's got a ton of arm strength, and he's a natural infielder. But, the hot corner at the major league level is really hard, and, getting to that level of play is something that he's been working on. But I think he's in a really good spot. He looks better than ever so far, and we want to keep watching him.
All right. Well, there still is a lot of excitement for the Orioles' upcoming regular season off all of their moves since the end of last season, but very disappointing and very discouraging to see the team's bad injury luck of the last two seasons now spilling over into this season with what has happened with Jordan Westburg and Jackson Holliday. And let's talk college basketball. So you could argue that the number one college basketball item in the Mid-Atlantic region over the weekend was a game not involving a team of the region. Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. on Saturday evening hosted a monster game in which number 3 Duke defeated number 1 Michigan 68-63. Official attendance 20,537. Putting to shame the attendance we regularly see for Georgetown home games at Capital One Arena. The game was branded as the Edward Jones Capital Showcase, and yet neither team that was showcased was a team of the Washington, D.C. area or Mid-Atlantic region. Yet we're not exactly at a high point for the teams of our region right now, but Maryland now has won 3 of its last 5 games, so hey, there is that. The Terrapins in the 2025-2026 regular season improved to 11-16 overall, including 4-12 in the Big Ten, with a 64-60 win over Washington at Xfinity Center in College Park, Maryland on Saturday afternoon. Maryland hosted over 100 Maryland alumni and former staffers and honored the 2000-2001 Final Four team. Maryland overcame an 8-point first-half deficit. 2 big reasons for the win: a major edge in three-point shooting and a major edge in offensive rebounding. Maryland went 10 for 23 on threes and held Washington to just 5 for 22 on threes, and Maryland had 14 offensive rebounds to Washington's 4, and thus 16 second chance points to Washington's 2. Maryland held Washington's 6'11 Hannes Steinbach of Germany to just 3 rebounds in 37 minutes, 15 seconds as a starter. He went 7 for 8 from the field, all twos, and did not attempt a free throw in scoring 14 points. He had 2 assists versus 1 turnover, but Maryland overall did a really good job on a guy in Steinbach who is projected to be a high pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Here was Maryland head coach Buzz Williams during his post-game press conference on Saturday evening on the Terps' excellent rebounding in this game.
Yeah, like some of the things that we've talked about this month, I think of all of the deficiencies and the things that we're trying to fight against, the one thing that correlates on both sides of the ball is our defensive rebound percentage and our offensive rebound percentage. And without explaining too much so that it doesn't get too long of a diatribe, we grade every possession. We call it rebounding effort. We've done that the last 7 years. There's a lot of language involved. There's a lot of technique involved. None of it is like otherworldly, but I think from an accountability standpoint, what we've tried to do, we're not there yet. We're broaching it. But if you think of offense as one thing and you think of defense as one thing, what we've tried to do is almost split it in thirds. It's offense, it's defense, and it's rebounding. Other than field goal attempts, rebounds are the second highest volume thing in the game. And so we assign certain guys certain responsibilities relative to offensive rebounding. And then from a defensive standpoint, what is the responsibility of the shooter? What's the responsibility of the other 4? And when we play a dominant rebounder such as 6, there's different language involved. And I thought our guys were tremendous in executing that. 85% defensive rebound percentage, 44% offensive rebound percentage. It at least gives us a chance. As long as there's not an outlier stat, it gives us a chance to shoot more balls, which we have to do. If we play with a low turnover rate, gives us a chance to make more free throws. It's the one thing that is impacted on both sides of the ball. And so there were other good things that happened, but it's the one good thing that happened on both sides of the ball.
Well, Maryland's leading scorer was 6'4" Texas A&M transfer and redshirt freshman Andre Mills. He in 38-56 as a starter had 21 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. Made some big shots down the stretch. He went 3 for 6 on threes and 4 for 4 on free throws. It did go just 4 for 12 on twos and did commit 4 turnovers. Maryland won despite remaining without its best player, 6'9" Texas A&M transfer Pharrell Payne. He did not play for a 16th consecutive game due to a right knee injury. Also 6'3" Indiana transfer Miles Rice. He was not available to play for a 6th consecutive game, but 6'7" Texas A&M transfer George Turkson Jr., he returned from a 3-game absence. Next up for Maryland at number 9, Nebraska, Wednesday night at 7. Georgetown's season continues to spiral downward. The Hoyas in this regular season fell to 13-14 overall, including 5-11 in the Big East, with a 51-47 loss at Seton Hall on Saturday evening. Georgetown lost its 4th consecutive game since a 4-game winning streak. Georgetown blew a 10-point first-half lead. The Hoyas in the first half led by 10 points at 27-17, but then lost the rest of the game 34-20. Georgetown's offense was terrible. The Hoyas scored just 47 points, went just 4 for 23 on threes, just 11 for 32 on twos, and just 13 for 23 on free throws, and had just 7 assists versus 13 turnovers. Georgetown lost despite a really good defensive performance, so the Hoyas held Seton Hall to just 51 points, 0 for 18 on threes, just 17 for 37 on twos, and just 9 assists versus 13 turnovers. So Georgetown held Seton Hall to 0 for 18 on threes, and yet still lost the game. The Hoyas were without 6'5" Baylor transfer Langston Love for a 7th consecutive game. Next up for Georgetown, home to Marquette, Tuesday night at 7. Virginia and Virginia Tech, each team on Saturday afternoon had a home win in which each team had 6 players each with at least 10 points. Number 14, Virginia in this regular season improved to 24-3 overall, including 12-2 in the ACC, with an 86-83 win over Miami at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, Virginia on Saturday afternoon. UVA, in a pregame ceremony, dedicated the John Paul Jones Arena court in honor of former UVA head coach and 4-time ACC Coach of the Year Tony Bennett, and then got a nice win for Bennett and for current head coach Ryan Odom. UVA won its 8th consecutive game, overcame an 11-point first-half deficit, so not a great start, but UVA's offense ended up being terrific. The Cavaliers scored 86 points, went 12 for 24 on threes, 17 for 26 on twos, and 16 for 18 on free throws, and had 18 assists versus 9 turnovers. 6 UVA players each scored at least 10 points. The Cavs' leading scorer was 6'3" North Dakota State transfer Ja'Cory White. He in 27-59 as a reserve had 17 points, 5 assists versus no turnovers and 2 blocks. He went 5 for 8 on threes and 1 for 1 on twos. It did not attempt a free throw. UVA won despite its defense not being that good. The Wahoos did hold Miami to just 20 for 43 on twos, but allowed Miami to go 9 for 18 on threes, generate 17 free throw attempts, of which Miami made 16, and have 16 assists versus 9 turnovers. Also, UVA won despite having just 4 offensive rebounds to Miami's 12, and thus just 2 second chance points to Miami's 18. But UVA won, continuing its terrific season. Next up for Virginia, home to NC State, Tuesday night at 7. Virginia Tech, it in this regular season improved to 18-10 overall, including 7-8 in the ACC, with an 82-63 win over Wake Forest at Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia on Saturday afternoon. Tech led for 33-52 of the game's 40 minutes. Good offense for Tech. The Hokies scored 82 points, went 11 for 28 on threes and 20 for 33 on twos, and had 19 assists versus 5 turnovers. So the negative was that the Hokies went just 9 for 16 on free throws, but 6 Tech players each scored at least 10 points. So the Hokies' leading scorers were Toby Lowell and Neo of Dallas. 6'8" Toby Lowell, he in 30-05 as a starter had 17 points and 9 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards. He went 6 for 7 on twos and did go just 1 for 4 on threes and 2 for 3 on free throws. And 6'9" true freshman Neo of Dallas of Greece, 34-46 as a starter, 17 points, 7 assists versus no turnovers and 3 rebounds. He went 4 for 9 9 on threes, did go just 2 for 5 on twos, and just 1 for 4 on free throws. Tech had a mixed game defensively. The Hokies held Wake Forest to just 6 for 30 on threes, but allowed Wake Forest to go 17 for 31 on twos and commit just 7 turnovers. Also, Tech remained without 6'5" Tyler Johnson. He did not play for a 15th consecutive game due to a left ankle injury, though he does appear to be close to being back. Next up for Virginia Tech at number 16 North Carolina, Saturday night at 8:30. VCU's 10-game winning streak is over. The Rams in this regular season fell to 21-7 overall, including 12-3 in the A-10, with an 88-75 loss at number 18 St. Louis on Friday night. VCU blew a 14-point first-half lead. The Rams in the first half were up by 14 at 24-10, but then allowed St. Louis to go on a 78-45 run to where the Rams in the final minute of the second half were down by 19 points at 88-69. VCU ended up getting steamrolled by St. Louis, which is a really good team. Next up for VCU, home to Fordham Saturday afternoon at 12:30. But whereas VCU's 10-game winning streak is over, Navy now has an 11-game winning streak. The midshipmen in this regular season improved to 23-6 overall, including 15-1 in the Patriot League, with an 81-63 win at Army on Saturday afternoon. Navy already had clinched the outright regular season Patriot League title via the Mids' 72-49 win over Lehigh at Alumni Hall in Annapolis, Maryland this past Wednesday night. A first outright regular season conference title for Navy since 1997. Another good game for Navy's senior point guard, 5'11" Austin Bonini. He in this win at Army in 38 minutes as a starter had 27 points and 3 assists versus 1 turnover. He went 3 for 4 on threes and 12 for 12 on free throws. Did go just 3 for 8 on twos. Next up for Navy at Loyola, Maryland, Wednesday night at 7. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Tuesday's show, episode 1267. We'll have plenty for you on the Washington Commanders. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Up behind the net. And it's Werenski. Now Jack Hughes puts it around McCarr. United States with numbers. Back across it comes. Jack Hughes wins it. The golden goal for the United States. For the first time since the